can be represented in a matrix form, and how we can improve this particular topic which will relate to our computer science field. Okay. So as part of this, first we'll see the pictorial or graphical representation of relations, matrix representation of relations. In a general discussion, we have seen the diagrams, and also we have seen how to represent the relations in the form of diagrams, or we can say digraphs, we can say here. We are also said to be, this is also to be a directional graph. So we have seen how to represent in the directional graph, that is pictorial representation. The same thing we'll revise now, then we'll move on to the main topic of how these relations will be useful for our computer science field. So here, the matrices of a relation on sets, if R is reflexive relation, then obviously I told you the basic principle, that is diagonal elements will be the same. Okay. And that is main diagonal of MR, the matrix R, are equal to 1. R is a symmetric relation if and only if Mij is equal to 1, wherever Mji is equal to 1. So here I and j are the row and column values. So if you form as a matrix, okay, I and j will become the row and column values. R is an antisymmetric relation if and only if Mij is equal to 0 and Mji is also equal to 0. So when I not equal to j. So here is the example for the symmetric and antisymmetric. By this time you come to know what is symmetric, antisymmetric. Already we have seen sufficient number of examples, and also you are going to solve some examples in the tutorial also. So here is a simple example. Suppose the relation R on a set is represented by the matrix MR is equal to 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1 and 1, 0, 1, 1. Can you say whether it is reflexive or antisymmetric or both? So this is a reflexive matrix, but not antisymmetric. So because all diagonal elements are equal to 1, so R is reflexive because MR is symmetric. R is symmetric and not antisymmetric because M12 and M21 are 1. So representing relations using the digraphs. So whenever we represent the graphs, graphs is the set of vertices and edges. Okay. So here vertices is nothing but points, and edges are nothing but the line connecting between the vertices or points. A directed graph means there will be a pointing will be there from which point to which point. If there is no pointing, then it is said to be the bidirectional graph. That means two-way path is available. So a directed graph or direct graph, G is equal to V comma E, where V is the set of vertices and E is the set of edges represented by ordered pair of elements of V. The vertex A is called the initial vertex of the edge A comma B, and the vertex B is called the terminal vertex of the edge. So which A is said to be the starting vertex and B is the ending vertex. Where if you represent the form of A comma A, that means there is a self loop on that. Representing relations using digraph. So here is a relation where over the set V is equal to A comma B comma C, and the relations was mentioned as A comma B, A comma D, B comma B, B comma D. So wherever A comma B is there, from A to B, there is a directional edge should be placed. Like that, A to D, also one directional edge should be placed. B to B means self loop. So this is the form of the diagram once you form these particular edges. So what are the ordered pairs in the relations represented by the direction? So first you start with 1. So 1 to what are the paths are there? 1 to 4 is there, 4 to 1 is there, and 2 to 1, 2 to 2, and 1 to 3, 3 to 1, 4 to 3, 3 to 3, and 2 to 3. So these are the these are the ordered pairs that you can form via these particular graphs. Next, having understand this graph representation, we will go to the closure of relations. Closure means we have seen, for example, there is a subset called A. If you want to represent a closure of A, then CL of A or A on top of that you will get a bar kind of thing. So that means all all intersecting points with the particular subset will be included in the closure. So that is what the closure relation. The same three words will continuously will follow us from the beginning of these relations. One is symmetric, another is antisymmetric, another is transitive. So here closures are also of three categories. The first category is reflexive, symmetric, and the transitive. These are the three things. Okay. So closures can be formed using these three things. So reflexive and symmetric is easy because reflexive means the self loop. Okay. Symmetric means 1 to 2 is there, means 2 to 1 should also be there. And transitive, identifying transitive is a somewhat difficult one. That means because if the graph is small, then you can easily identify how many are there. But if the graph is large, then maybe around more than 100 nodes are there in the graph, then it is somewhat difficult for you to do this. So for this, easy way of resolving the graph is by using the matrices. Okay, so matrix operation you can perform so that you can easily solve the graphs. So how can you form this matrix? For example, if there exists an edge between node 1 and node 2, then you should mention there is an edge, means you represent as 1 in the matrix from between 1 to 2, like that. Like that, how many nodes are there? Like that, you make a row and column, or you define the matrix. For example, there are 50 nodes are there. You define a matrix of 50 by 50. You define a matrix of 50 by 50 and go for the connections. Like you check whether the 1 to 1 is path available or not. If 1 to 1 path is there, you mention 1 there. Otherwise, no need to mention anything. 0 you may place. If 1 to 50 path is there, direct edge is there, then 1 to 50 you may write, okay, there is a path. That means you mention 1, otherwise 0. Like that, for every node, you are supposed to make the combination. Thereby, you will get a matrix. Okay. So with this matrix, you can easily come to know whether there is a path between a node or not, or is there any diagonal element connecting or not. These kind of things we are going to observe. And what is the in degree, what is the out degree? All these calculations we'll do only with the matrix. And one more thing is, so far what we are going to see, or what we have seen so far, the diagrams and all these things will be represented whether the edge is connected or not. That means where is the connection is there or not between the two vertices. But if you want to represent a real graph with some distances between the cities, so there is a particular distance from one city to other city. So how you will represent this? Connectivity is there, but you want to represent the distance also. So this kind of distance representation in graph are said to be the weighted graphs. That means a weight will be associated to the edge. Okay, from vertex to V1 to vertex V2, if there is a path and some distance associated with this in the general city graph representation, then we'll associate some value to that. So it will become the weighted graph. Okay. So whatever the graph we have seen is so far is a directional graph with unweighted. That means there is no weights. Just we'll mention whether the path available or not. If path available is there, then we'll place 1 in the matrix. Otherwise, we'll place 0. Okay. By this particular information is sufficient to proceed further. Reflexive. So reflexive is easy to identify, and symmetric is also easy to identify. But transitive is little bit harder. The reason is as the number of nodes increases, so identifying transitive relation is somewhat difficult task. And if you also look at the computer networks, there are computer networks is, we cannot say, see, you can communicate from sitting in India to anywhere in the world. So that means how your communication is passing through these many computers. So if you consider each computer as a vertex in the graph, and these computers will be connected to the nearest servers, and these servers will be connected to the other servers. Again, those servers will be connected by another client, and those clients may be connected to the other servers. See, this is a kind of web. Okay, so web can be treated as the subset of multiple networks. If you go to CL1, CL2, CL3, and many other lab, each lab consisting of around 30 computers. Like that, around 20 labs are there, 20 into 30 computers, around 600 computers in computer science department, and like that in other departments. So all these computers were connected to the again server. So this is a kind of a small subnetwork, and this subnetwork again connected to the internet. Okay, where again some other college may be having some other subnets. So like that, it's go on. So this particular graph will expand like anything. Okay, now how can you send a file from your computer to other computer? Okay, so this is unless until there is no connectivity, you cannot go. You cannot transfer it, right? So if server was down, you cannot transfer it. So the server has to be up. Otherwise, you cannot transfer it. So if you want to send on mail, the server has to be on. Otherwise, it cannot go on. So if the mail server is down, then can you choose another path so that your file can be transferred? Unless until you don't know what is the alternate path available, you cannot send it. So how you will identify this alternative path? Obviously, you need to have the graph terminology. Okay, so in this graph terminology, unless until there is no transitive relativity, okay, unless until there is no transitive relativity or transitive closureness, okay, you cannot send in other path, right? So all these things is the part of our computer networks. Especially this procedure is called as routing. Okay, this particular entire procedure is called as routing. Routing is the way of finding the path between source to destination. Okay, in this, how fast you will send this data and how fast you will identify the path. Okay, and will send this particular data. In computer terminology, especially in the networking terminology, instead of data or file, we will call it as a packet. Okay, how we will transfer the packet from source to destination in the shortest path. That is what the objective of any routing protocol. So we have so many routing protocols designed for the wired networks and as well as wireless networks. Because of some constraints, the wireless network protocol, routing protocols are specially designed. Because many of the wireless devices will work on the batteries. If more computation has to be done, obviously more power has to be consumed. Once more power consumed, battery will drain fast. Okay, but there is no constraint like this for the wired networks because they are plugged to a fixed power supply. Okay, so the operation of these routing protocols, but objective is same either for the wired networks or wireless networks. But depending upon the device that you use, the protocols have been modified. And also depending upon the medium of data link layer they use, medium of access control they use. Okay, so these protocols have been modified. So this information is sufficient for you to proceed further. So the closure of relation for any property X, the X closure of a set A is defined as the smallest superset of A that has the given property. Reflexive property is nothing but a relation R on A is obtained by adding A comma A to R for each small a belongs to capital A. That is, you are going to make a union with the same thing so that you will get the self loop. Okay, the symmetric closure of R is obtained by adding B comma A to relation R for each A comma B that is belong to R. That means R union R inverse. So thereby you will go for adding the symmetric relation or symmetric closure. Now the transitive closure, the closure connectivity relation of R is obtained by repeatedly adding, please remember here, repeatedly adding A comma C to R for each A comma B, B comma C, okay, in R. So that means there should be a connecting point to send your packet from system A to system B. Otherwise, it is not possible. Okay, there should be a direct edge or maybe connecting one. If server down, for example, assume that B is a server here. If B is down, then you cannot send it. Okay, are you getting not? So this is, see, small sets only, how it will be, it can be enlarged and used for the computer networking. Okay. Reflexive closure, consider the relation R. The reflexive closure is nothing but if you have this particular path like this, we want to add edges to make the relation reflexive. So how can you make the reflexive? You can add the edges. You can make this like this. So for every vertex in the connecting point, you make a self loop so that you will get the reflexive position. So by adding those edges, we have made a non-reflexive relation R into a reflexive relation. This new relation is called the reflexive closure of R. And another example, in order to find the reflexive closure of a relation R, we add a loop at each node that does not have one. So the reflexive closure in the mathematical terminology, we can use it as R is R union the sigma, triangle, which means that the same element which belongs to the relation R. And it is also called as diagonal relation. With matrices, we set diagonal all to 1. And here is another example given. Let R be a relation on set 0, 1, 2, 3, containing the ordered pairs 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0. So now why the reflexive relations can be added in a simple way, like 0 to 0 and 3 to 3 should be added so that it will become the reflexive relation. Symmetric closure, consider relation R, the same example we are going to take. So we want to add edges to the make relation symmetric. So what we can do is you make a reverse path. So if there is a path from 1 to 3, then make a reverse path 3 to 1 like that. So anyhow, here below there is a reverse path available. There is no reverse path in the above section, so you add the reverse path in this. By adding those edges, we have made a non-symmetric relation R into a symmetric relation. And this is said to be the symmetric closure of R. In order to find the symmetric closure of a relation R, we add an edge from A to B where there is already an edge from B to A. The symmetric closure of R is R union, R inverse. Already we have seen this. And here is an example. So 0 to 3 and 1 to 0 should also be added here. And also 2 to 0 should also be added. Then only you can, and 2 to 1. These 4 need to be added so that it will become the symmetric closure. Now the transitive closure. Here the main thing will come into the picture. So with this transitive closure, once you understand this transitive closure, you will come to know the routing part. Okay. So you look at here, this is the graph, and there are many servers connected over the world, and how you can route. See, sometimes you can see there are some cables in the underground, or there may be cables in the sea was cut down. So that is the reason there is a problem with the internet. This kind of news you might have seen in the newspapers or maybe in the TV. Okay, so even though cables were cut or maybe because of some signal problem or satellite problem, okay, so you can still in some other path you can divert this particular internet, and finally with a little speed also, you may not get the same bandwidth that you get in previously. Maybe with slower bandwidth, you may get the access the internet. So this is possible only if there is a transitive connectivity. Okay. So here from one station to other station, if you want to connect, so unless until there is no other path, this is not possible. And this is also base for the distributed networking concept in the computer networks. So there are three main networking forms, like centralized networking, decentralized networking, and distributed networking. So internet is a distributed network. So in the distributed network, we will be having more fault tolerance, because even though a system fails, you can go in another direction and you can reach the destination. So this is what the advantage of the distributed networking. So informal definition of the transitive closure: if there is a path from A to B, then there should be an edge from A to B in the transitive closure. First take of a definition. In order to find the transitive closure of a relation R, we add an edge from A to C. Then when there are edges from A to B and B to C. So here 1, 2, 2, 3 is there. We should also add 1, 3 in the relation. So this path must be added. And 2, 3, 3, 4 is there. 2 to 4. Okay, edge must also be added. Okay, but there is a path from 1 to 4 with no edge. So 1 to 2 there is an edge, and since 2 to 3, 3 to 4 we have added an edge. 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 we have path. So 2 to 4 we have added an edge. After forming this edge, we identified that okay, we can also relate 1 to 4. Can you do it or not? Because 1 to 2 there is a path, and 2 to 4 is also there is a path. Is it not? So this is called repetitive. This is called repetitive way of routing the packet. So that means the routing algorithms, whatever they design, okay, used to find the path by performing the iteration based upon the available routing tables. So available routing tables is nothing but every computer, whenever it boot up, it will ask the nearest switch that what are my nearby nodes or nearby computers. So it will send the information about the nearby computers, okay, which are connected to that particular switch or router. So this nearby routers, okay, this nearby router will give the information about what are the computers connected to that router, and this particular system will keep in a cache that okay, these are the computers nearby. Whenever it go for routing, whenever it go for communicating with the other computer, it will also give its own routing table, so that other computer will come to know that who are my nearest nodes. Okay, like that, this particular operation will go on, so that every computer in the particular subnet or in the particular network will be coming to know who is the next or who is the nearest computer and how many hops away. That means how many computers away from my computer, okay, from myself. That is, this is the way of calculation will be done by the each computer. So for this, see, this is the way, because 1 to 2 we got, and 2 to 4 also we have edge. So 1 to 4 edge is going to be added in a repetitive way. So in the first iteration we got 1 to 3. In the second iteration we got 2 to 4. Next, in the next iteration we got 1 to 4. So this is also called as connectivity relation. Let R be a relation on a set A. The connectivity relation R star consists of the pairs A comma B such that there is a path of length at least 1 from A to B in R. Okay. In the first iteration, there should be at least one path. In the second iteration, at least there should be two paths. Okay. That is from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, okay, and 1 to 3. There are second path. In the third iteration, there should be 3 paths. Like that, the iteration, as the number of iterations increases, the paths, possible paths will also increase. Because R power n consists of the pairs of A comma B such that there is a path of length n from A to B. It follows R star is the union of all sets, that is R power n. In other words, so here n is equal to 1 to infinity. 1 to infinity is nothing but you don't know how many nodes will be there exactly. If you take 50, it is from n is equal to 1 to 50. Okay, that means this can be in it can be continuously done. This particular way of iteration and updations will be continuously done because it will be done periodically. Okay, for every 40 seconds or for every 60 seconds, every computer will do this particular task. That is the reason, if the internet was not connected properly or something, just to turn off everything for 10 seconds or 30 seconds, okay, again turn on, so it will be connected. The reason is for 30 seconds or 20 seconds, it will be there in the memory. Once 30 seconds are over, that particular memory will be gone. Or we can also, this is said to be buffer. That buffer will be gone, and then whenever you connect again, it will be coming with the fresh routing table, and the connection will go on. So this is what the thing. So with this connectivity relation, if R contains edge between all nodes reachable via one edge, so R into R, that is a second iteration, will become the R square contains edge between nodes that reachable via two edges. If it is R cube, means R into R into R, 3 iterations we will do. So that will be connected via at least 3 edges. So like that, it will keep on going. It will keep on goes. So R power n consisting of edge between the nodes that are reachable via n edges in the relation R. R star contains edges between nodes that are reachable via any number of edges. That means if even though one edge is not available, it can go in another edge, like any number of edges into the R. So finally, R star is the transitive closure of R. Let MR be the 0 to 0, 1 matrix of a relation R on a set with n elements. Then the 0, 1 matrix of the transitive closure will be represented like this. MR star is equal to MR union MR square union MR cube, like that, keep on goes. So nodes reachable with one application of relation, nodes reachable with second application of 2 applications of relation, next with n applications of relation. So find 0, 1 matrix of the transitive closure of a relation R given by. Now if you want to program, how you will program this? Recall the matrix multiplication. Recall the matrix multiplication. We'll do that you have done in your first year course. So how you will do the matrix multiplication? There are 2 matrices, A and B. You want to multiply these 2 matrices. So for I is equal to 1 to n, for j is equal to 1 to m. And what you do is you will take the third inner loop, that is for k is equal to 1 to n. Okay. For example, the first matrix is say for example x into y. Second matrix is A into B. The resultant matrix will be x into A. Okay. So based on that, whatever the final value you will get. So for k is equal to 1 to, that value you will write. And then what you do? C of I comma j is equal to C of ij plus A of ij into A of kj. So this is the way you will write the matrix, right? Same relation here also. If you are doing for 2 times, you multiply for it. You go for 2 times and check whether ik kj is there or not, kk is matched or not. Then only you can make the relation, right? Otherwise you cannot make the relation. Okay, ik kj. So if kk is matched, then you make the relation. If kk is matched, then in the cij you have supposed to place the 1. That means there should be an edge between this I and j. Right? So these two were connected with k. Like that, if you add third time, so if you perform the iteration for third time, again multiply with the Cij, do it. It's keep on going. So finally, after n iterations, you will get the complete picture. So from which node to which node, all the things were connected. For example, there are 50 computers are there. You perform 50 iterations so that you will come to know. So maximum almost all the things. Okay. So here MR is equal to 101, 010, 110. This is the matrix. That means 1 to 1 there is a connectivity. 1 to 2 there is no connectivity. 1 to 3 there is a connectivity, like that. Now, if you perform the iteration, then what will happen? So 1 to 1 connectivity is there. 1 to 2 is there is no connectivity. And 2 to 1 there is no connectivity. So when you make this, finally 1 to 1 connectivity is there, 1 to 3 is there, and 3 to 2 is also there. So there is a common point 1 to 3 and 3 to 1. When you are making the iteration, you find that A of, that is, let's say for example, this is the first matrix A of 1, 3, okay, and say for example, this is the B matrix, B of 3, 2. So 3, 3 matched. So in the resultant matrix, what you are supposed to do? 1 to 2, you are supposed to make a pair. Are you not? So this is the way. That means A of 1, 3 is 1. A of B of 3, 2 is 1. That means there is a pair, and connecting point is also there. So that is the reason you will make a path between 1 to 2, so that here you will get 1 to 2 as 1. Okay, like that 3 to 2 also 1. Do you got it or not? So this is the resultant one that you will get. Here is another example. If you do for the 3 times, okay, so you can iterate like this, and finally you can get this particular thing. So here, what we did is compute the next matrix MR of I. That means which iteration you are doing. That is I value here. Do Boolean join with previously computed matrix. For our example, compute MR 2 iterations. That is MR into MR. Okay. Join with MR to yield MR union, that is MR. So you will get the third matrix. And join with the next matrix, like that, keep on going. So here is a simple algorithm for performing this particular transitive closure. This you can, in a blindly, if you want to multiply this and will go on. So this will be the thing. And with this, what will happen is the time complexity increases. Actually, in computer science, whenever you design any algorithm, you are supposed to focus on the complexity of the algorithm. Complexity will be defined in 2 ways. One is time complexity, another is space complexity. Space complexity is nothing but the amount of memory required by the algorithm to run to its completion. How much memory is required for completing this particular work. The time complexity is nothing but how many CPU cycles are required for this algorithm to run to its completion. If more CPU cycles are there, more power will be consumed. Right? If you are the same routing protocol you are designing for the mobile networks usually operate on the battery. If more computation has to be done, if there is a continuous computation that what is the next path and all. So obviously more processing will be computed. So obviously it will be the energy will it require more energy, and also battery will deplete fast. So that is the reason we should decrease the time complexity and also try to decrease the space complexity. Please remember, you cannot balance both. It's a trade-off. If you increase the time complexity, maybe you may decrease the space complexity. If you if you try to decrease the space complexity, you may increase the time complexity. It's just like pickup and mileage of your bike. It's a best example, trade-off. If more pickup is there, then mileage will be low. Okay. If medium pickup is there, mileage will be good. It's quite simple example. The same way, if the time complexity is less, then it may require some space. Okay. So in the data structures, you might have studied tree data structures. Tree data structures mostly will be in the memory only, but they are very fast. Okay, they are very fast in computation because it's log n to the base 2 is the complexity. Okay. In case of linked list, that will also be in the memory only, but it's the order of n. So you have to go for n iterations to get this particular thing. So like that, here the time complexity of this algorithm is order of n to the power of 4. If there are 100 nodes, 100 to the power of 4 is the time complexity. Right? So that's the reason there is a scientist, two people are there, Roy-Warshall algorithm. This is a very basic algorithm. And there are, Warshall has proposed many other algorithms, like Flyard-Warshall algorithm is also there, which is also popularly used for the computer network routing. And it's a base for many of the base protocols, like DSDB protocol and AODB protocol, this kind of protocols. This is a very basic one. Uses only n power cube operations. As just now I told you matrix multiplication example, the same thing was here. Okay. So make the 3 for loops. If 3 for loops are there, which are repeating for n times, means order of n cube is the time complexity. Simple. If 2 for loops are there, running for n times, n square. If only 1 for loop is there, running for n times, order of n. Just by looking at the for loop, you can say what is the complexity. So this for loop is a nested for loop for 3 times, and it is operating for 3 times. So that is the reason it will become the order of n cube. So here is another example was given. So here W0 was given and ask you to go for the W4. That means you have to perform the 4 iterations, and finally you define what is the W4. So this is the W4. So a step-by-step explanation has been given in the example. Mostly you come to know in a broad way how it will be done. For the examination point of view, if the question was given, then you are supposed to solve a step-by-step approach. Okay. So this is the end of this particular closure relations. We'll see with the next topic in the next lecture.